Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Gina Barty.
And I'm Patricia Vallone. Thank you for joining us tonight. 2 officers are shot attempting to serve a warrant in Baltimore. The officers, one from Baltimore County, the other from Baltimore City, were with a U.S. Marshals task force serving an attempted murder warrant when a suspect opened fire. The suspect was shot and killed at the scene.
It happened around noon in the 5900 block of Radicke Avenue. Both officers are being treated at Baltimore Shock Trauma.
Montgomery County Police detectives fatally shoot a suspect in Virginia Beach this morning. The detectives and U.S. Marshals were assisting cold case investigators about 6 a.m. when the incident occurred. Authorities say the officers fired shots as they attempted to take the suspect into custody. The Montgomery County, Maryland detectives have been placed on routine administrative leave as Virginia Beach police investigate the case. Well, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and other Democratic leaders are speaking out in support of the Equal Rights Amendment. The ERA would ban discrimination based on sex and has been in the works for nearly 50 years. The deadline to ratify it expired in 1982 when only 35 of the 38 necessary states had passed it. Now that Virginia has become the 38th state, Pelosi and others are trying to extend the deadline.
We have the strongest possible bipartisan vote in the House to take it over to the Senate. It's going to be, again, a more perfect union, as Mr. Hoyer said, but again, reinforcing what we believe, that when women succeed, America succeeds.
A woman's right must be guaranteed by our government. This is simply not up for debate. Even though we've come so far, it's long past the time to correct this injustice.
You better believe that we don't believe it's unnecessary that women's equality be included in the United States Constitution.
The consciousness of our founders, which was extraordinarily high for their time, extraordinary, but they didn't say, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all humankind are created equal. It is time to act. It is far past time to act. As I say, Maryland, 48 years ago, overwhelmingly said, all of us are equal.
And the ERA would provide a federal judicial standard in sex discrimination cases.
Well, the votes have been casted and the results are in. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is the winner of the New Hampshire primary, scoring the first clear victory in the Democratic primary party 2020 nomination fight. He beat out former South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg by less than 2 percentage points. Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar came in third. Former Vice President Joe Biden and Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren failed to get any delegates.
Under our administration, it will be women, not the government, who control their own lives. Now, our campaign is not just about beating Trump, it is about transforming this country.
Donald Trump's worst nightmare is that the people in the middle, the people who have had enough of the name calling and the mudslinging, have someone to vote for in November.
When people of color fear for their own place in their own country, while infants are torn from their parents at the border, we must get this right.
Tech entrepreneur Andre Yang, Colorado Senator Michael Bennet, and former governor of Massachusetts Deval Patrick have all dropped out of the race. Meantime, lawmakers in Annapolis are pushing for reforms to the state's public information law. Delegate Brooke Learman is one of a number of lawmakers sponsoring bills to add more teeth to the process. Learman's bill is the Access to Information Act. She says it builds upon past efforts to enforce public information laws in Maryland.
So my legislation will make sure that access to information is equal, that we can, that citizens and constituents can access information by going to the compliance board, by working with the ombudsman. This legislation also, for the first time, will codify a preference for proactive disclosure. We want agencies around the state, from our county and local governments to state executive agencies, to be proactively disclosing information.
The Maryland Public Information Act was created 50 years ago.
Delegate Darrell Barnes is looking to expand minority participation in the state's public-private partnerships, also known as P3s. A hearing on the matter was held today in the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee. Delegate Barnes wants to restore a provision that stipulated that a certain percentage of P3 projects approved by the Board of Public Works must be minority-owned. Barnes says that the minority business enterprise mandate terminated in 2016.
My bill would now say that we must include MBEs in that component as far as those agreements that come before the Board of Public Works, which now means that those hundreds of $millions of contracts will now have an opportunity to include people that look like me and those businesses to participate.
And Barnes says he's confident the momentum is there for the measure to pass in the General Assembly.